Hello, everyone. My name is John Cottrell. This is Soft Flow. Welcome. So Soft Flow is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. And for this practice, we're actually going to practice going upside down. So this is a class with inversions. And because it's a soft flow class, we'll be modifying all of the poses. And with our modifications, we like to use props. So we make sure you have these following props for your practice today. You will need a blanket, something that you can fold to make a little kind of a stack. Okay, we'll be sitting on it, but also going to be using it for some neck support for some of our poses. Okay, so you want to have a blanket that you can fold, and then a couple of blocks or something stackable that's firm. Because for usually we do a bridge pose, we do a supported bridge pose. And when we do supported bridge pose, we actually sit on some stacked blocks or books or whatever you have. So you need blocks. You might want to use a bolster. We won't be using this primarily in our practice, but it's nice to have perhaps for your Shavasana practice at the end, something to lie on or to have your legs over, anything like that. So maybe just a big pillow or bolster. That's always nice. And I think you might need a strap. So part of our workings and going upside down will be a lot of leg extension, okay? And so you might want to have a strap, a yoga strap, or something that resembles a strap, like a jump rope or a tie or a belt, something like that. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead and begin our practice. We'd like to begin in seated for our soft flow class. You're welcome to cross your legs. This is comfortable for me. This is half lotus, but if you like to extend your legs, please do that instead. You can also sit up against a wall or sit in a chair for this first few minutes of our practice, because we're just going to be doing some breath work. So as you find your comfortable seat, you want to find a nice extension through your spine, sitting up nice and tall as best as you can. You just roll your shoulders back and down. So you can just feel this nice heart space opening. And you're welcome to also close your eyes or even just soften your eyes, keeping your gaze forward or downward as we tune into breath. You might take a few deep breaths in and out just to get reconnected to your breath. So maybe a full breath in through your nose and a complete exhale either through your nose or through your mouth. Just some deep breath settling into this moment. And once you get reacquainted with your breathing, just continue with slow, steady breaths. But deep enough so that you can feel your breath and hear your breath. Moving inward. Still and silent within. Deepening your connection as you prepare for your practice. This is also a good time to perhaps create an intention for your practice. Since we'll be focusing on inversions and going upside down, maybe you can relate to that. Maybe things for you have felt a little upside down. Not normal, just things aren't going in the way that you predicted or hoped. But sometimes we have to experience those feelings of being topsy-turvy and upside down in order to feel right side up and grounded, and to remind ourselves how to return to that place of a solid foundation, perhaps with your feet firmly connected to the ground. Slow, steady breaths. You might even bring a little bit more energy to your breathing by fully breathing in, deep breath in to fill up your lungs. So just feel that nice expansiveness, perhaps across the chest, right up to your collarbones. Then as you exhale, we engage our core by drawing navel in towards spine, a contraction of the abdominal muscles. Doesn't have to be too strong, just a feeling, a sensation, awareness of a center, connection, strength. That's also going to help us with our upside down motions too. We want to be strong in our core. So again, a nice inhale to fill up your lungs, open up your heart space. Exhaling, drawing belly in, light connection. And maybe just take 3 more breaths like that. And after we finish that round of breathing, we'll start our moving meditation. A very simple movement. Whenever you're ready, just inhale and extend your arms out across the room and reach up into the air. Nice big stretch. Then exhale, extend your arms out and let them float back down. Now you're just following the pace of your breath. So again, an inhale, extending the arms out and up until you completed the breath and the movement. Then proceed with your exhale and feel the arms come back down. Just continue at your own pace, going at your own pace here. As you reach up into the air, you want to feel lifted, perhaps a little light, a lightness in the body, lengthening through the sides of your body, and then exhaling to come back down with the hands. Don't forget to continue drawing in towards spine with the navel, a light contraction of the abdominal muscles. Notice the sensations in your body with the energy in your arms, hands, and even your fingers. Maybe a lengthening through your spine, down through your back, and through the sides of your body. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. And when you're complete, you can just let your arms rest down by your side. Maybe your hands are in your lap or on your knees. And just feel how the body returns to this place of stillness and relaxation. Even notice kind of this very basic grounding sense since we are sitting and we're obviously sitting right side up. So just remembering this solid connection that you've created. Let's move into our back bend. Just going to take your hands behind you, maybe onto your fingertips or your palms, whatever feels best for your hands, your wrists. Roll your shoulders back just to continue opening up through your heart space. You'll tip your chin up just a little bit. This is a very mild back bend, a seated back bend as we open up our hearts. Go ahead and take a full breath in, once again filling up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in and squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. Inhale, feel the breath rising, expanding through your chest. Exhale, navel to spine, shoulder blades squeezing together. As you inhale, just feel the hands or fingertips press into the ground, just feeling energy shoot through your fingers, your arms. You might feel this in your shoulders, upper back fully engaged as you're squeezing together, belly drawing in. So lots more energy is generated here. 2 more breaths. And after your second breath, just lower your chin to look forward, walk your hands towards yourself. And your hands can return to your lap. And again, return to this solid grounding. Let's proceed to our forward fold. We want to uncross the legs first if they are crossed. Reposition the legs so the feet, the soles of your feet are touching right here for a cobbler's pose or bound angle. And just so the legs just don't have to hang there in space, this is where you could use your blocks. They could even be just sofa pillows perhaps. And just tuck them underneath the legs so the legs can actually rest. Hold on to your ankles or shins so you can sit up nice and tall. We'll inhale to feel even taller. Exhale, pull belly in, creating a solid foundation, and start to hinge forward from the hips, leading with your heart and chin going forward just a tiny bit. If you can see me, I've just moved just a little bit, so I have a slight angle in my body. We're going to inhale, re-extend spine at the angle you've created here. Exhale, pull belly in for support, hinge forward a tiny bit right there. And we'll just continue that nice slow progression. Inhaling for the lengthening of spine, fill up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in for support as you now move, hinging forward. You can pause at any point and just remain in that position, maybe feeling a stretch or release in the inner thighs, releasing through the hips. You may also begin to lower your chin and round your back a bit if you'd like. That might even allow you to go a little deeper into this pose. It also creates a new sensation down through your back, perhaps feeling this more now in your lower back. And again, you don't have to go too far or too deep, just to a place where you can feel. It's like, oh, now I feel my back lengthening, or I feel this sensation in my inner thighs. You don't have to go beyond that. And just continue with a few more breaths. We want to be able to maintain this sense of calm. You can still take full breaths throughout the entire practice. So we're not moving too fast, we're not going too deep. Just taking our time and taking care of ourselves. All right, let's just take 2 more breaths here. If your back did round, you're going to lift your chin or look forward to help re-extend your spine. Place your hands on your mat just as a way to help press your way back up until you're nice and tall in your seat right here. Pause for a moment, take a breath. Very good. All right, let's remove our props here, those blocks, move those to the side. Okay, we're just going to swing the legs back around behind us so we can come to hands and knees. Here, you can use your blanket for some padding, some softness for your knees and your wrists. Right here, if you'd like that. We'll start in this tabletop position, moving into cow pose and then cat pose. So cow pose is your inhale. Well, you'll look forward, feeling like your chest is opening, and you arch your back. You're doing a little back bend right here, tilting the pelvis back. Then you exhale, we move into cat pose, rounding the spine. Pull belly button up towards spine. Tuck your tailbone underneath, chin to chest. And then just reverse it. Inhale to cow, arching the back, a mild back bend. It's a U shape or a bowl shape. Exhale, round it out. And just flow through these 2 postures. Again, not needing to go too deeply into the back bend or even the curvature of the spine, but just feel the movement. Notice the pelvis rocking forward and back, heart opening, roundedness in the spine, engaging the belly when you pull belly button up towards spine in cat, and even just the gentle movement of your head and neck. Subtle movements. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. And then return to a tabletop position. Just pause there for a moment. Keeping the neck long, your gaze should be directly downward. Hold. And then if you are using some padding, let's remove the pad and just set it to the side. We, of course, will be using that again later. Return to hands and knees and we'll get set up for our next pose, downward facing dog. And before we get into down dog, that's actually going to be our first inverted posture, because typically in inversions, the head is down, okay? So we're going to step the hands forward a little bit, spreading out your fingers. So you have a nice wide base there. Press into the ground, flattening the palms. It's a nice stretch for your hands. And as you're pressing, just feel the strength and length in your arms. Press a little bit more toward your thumbs and index fingers. You want to feel this energy of moving inward, especially in your inner arms, your forearms. Tuck your toes. Let's take another quick cat and cow. So inhale, cow, look up or forward, arch your back. Exhale, round it out into cat. Hold cat. And then lift your knees off of your mat and lift your hips up into the air. Adjust your feet and hands for a moment. Let's hold for a couple breaths so you can get in tune with being upside down. So our first upside down position. Head is down. Even though our feet aren't up in the air, our head is down. So this can be considered an inverted pose. All right, look at the space between your hands and just take a walk. Maybe just up to the center of your mat where you can get your feet flat on the ground. You'll be in a forward fold here. We'll inhale, slide hands up to your knees or thighs to extend your spine to a flat tabletop position. Hold here as you exhale. Keep a slight bend in your knees as you hold for several breaths. Really extending. This brings energy to the body as well. It doesn't seem like we're doing much, but you might feel your hamstrings engage, feet are firmly planted into the ground. There's an energy of the crown of your head moving forward, your hips and tailbone moving to the back of the room. One more breath in and out. With that exhale, don't forget to engage your belly. Then shift your weight back into your heels. Just lean back a little bit. Bend your knees and feel like you're going to sit down into a chair. Look forward. Sweep your arms out to the side. Then stand up, straightening your legs. Reach up into the air. Good. Exhale. Bring your arms down by your side. Right there. Very nice. Now we are in standing, mountain pose. Let's just take a moment and just be aware of standing. Again, solid on 2 feet. So maybe your feet are about hip distance apart, toes forward, nice alignment in the hips, lengthened spine. Couple breaths. Just our upright posturing, good balance, even distribution of weight. Good. Let's do our half salute once again. We're going to inhale, sweep your arms out and up into the air. Exhale, spread your wings and bend your knees and sit back into your imaginary chair as you slowly fold, making your way down. You might touch your toes, but you don't have to. Then inhale, slide your hands back up to your knees or thighs, extending the spine. This exhale will fold again back down towards toes. Just a brief hold right here, so a different sensation. Then shift your weight back into your heels, bend your knees, look forward, swing your arms out to the side. As you drive your heels into the ground, that should allow you to stand up, straightening your legs, reach up into the air, extended mountain pose. Exhale, arms back down by your side. Back to our solid foundation, standing on our own 2 feet upright. Noticing this balance. This is ideal. This is where we want to be. But sometimes we aren't always in this proper alignment. Things can feel askew or upside down, topsy-turvy. Okay, let's continue. Let's inhale, extend arms into the air. Exhale, sweep your arms out to the side, bend your knees, sit back into your imaginary chair, folding forward with a good bend in your knees, maybe touching your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to your knees or thighs, feel the full extension of spine. Now on this exhale, slide down, bend your knees a whole lot. Let the back round so you can place your palms on the ground in front of you. Press into the mat with the hands so you can start stepping or walking both of your feet back to the back end of your mat. And feel this good extension of the body, plank pose. We'll take a breath in, then exhale, bend your knees a little, send your hips into the air, downward facing dog. Adjust your feet. You know, one way to actually find some balance in down dog is maybe take the feet a little wider. You can do that with the feet and even your hands. That might help your stability here. Here's our inverted pose. Here's another part of the inversion where you're going to inhale and extend your right leg up into the air. It's just reaching back, maybe behind you. It doesn't have to lift for the ceiling. As you exhale, bend your right knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest, shifting your body weight forward until your shoulders are stacked over your wrists, and then just set your toes down onto the ground. Set your left knee onto the ground. This allows us to actually pick up the right foot and place it up a little higher on the mat. Once it's there, relift the left knee. Now we're in a lunge, but we need to find balance. We need to pull the hips back to the back edge of your mat,
So we're more centered. Our hip bone is the center of this pose. That should allow you to easily rise up to fingertips, extending the spine a little bit, and then bring both hands up to your thigh. Press into your thigh to rise up to about 45 degrees, right about here. Extending, lengthening through the crown of your head and through the left heel of your foot. Squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. Pull belly button in to engage to solidify the lower half of your body. Now you'll sweep your arms out to the side, rising up, reaching up and looking forward, lunging. Just bend both knees a little bit. Hold for a moment. Keep the strong engagement of inner legs squeezing towards each other. We're going to inhale here. Exhale, pivot or turn left heel to the floor. You'll turn sideways. Bring your arms down to parallel, right into warrior two. Let's hold here for a moment. Nice extension out through your arms. Right knee is bent, so there's a lunge here. Left leg is straight, outside edge of your foot pressing into the ground. Let's just relax the arms for a moment. Even bring your hands to your hips. We're gonna go right into triangle pose. So that means we're gonna straighten the right leg. I'm even gonna shorten my stance a little bit. That's a little bit more comfortable. I feel more solid right here. So a nice straight leg here, hands on hips. Now imagine your hands are like are wrapped around a bowl, like a bucket of water. And so what we want to do is we want to tip the bucket of water so the water would pour down the front of the leg right there, okay? So it's just that little tip right there, angling the upper half of the body. You can keep hands on hips if you'd like, or extend your arms floor to ceiling. And that puts us into triangle pose. Now, I mentioned earlier that we'll be doing upside down positions, and it involves lengthening through the legs. So that's why we're doing triangle pose. So you can feel this hamstring stretch in this right leg. And of course, we'll do the other side. Couple more breaths here. To come out of this pose, we'll start by bending the right knee a whole lot right there. We're going to come back up to a warrior two. Let's actually reverse the warrior by taking the right hand right up into the air. Reach as if you're going to touch the ceiling. This left hand is just kind of weightless back here, just resting lightly on your thigh or knee. Reaching up. Inhale. Now the exhale would create a big windmill with the arms. Turn to face the floor, bring your palms to the ground, rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. This is our return to the runner's lunge. Push firmly into the ground with the hands so your arms and shoulders feel strong. Slide the right foot back, plank pose. Hold for a second. Then down dog. Bend your knees a little, send your hips into the air. Feel free to adjust your feet, maybe take them a little wider. Hands solid on the ground. Keep pressing towards thumbs and index fingers. Let's do left leg. Inhale, lift the left foot, extend the leg, reach back, inverted pose. Exhale, bend left knee, bring it in underneath you, shifting forward, shoulders over the wrists. Set the toes down, doesn't matter where. Set the right knee down so we can reach back, pick up the left foot, and place it up higher on the mat, ready for our lunge. Plant the hands. Relift right knee. Pull the hips back towards the back edge of your mat so you find the balance. You should feel this more in your hips. Rise to fingertips. That way you know you have no more weight on the hands. I call this sweep the floor like this. Feel the spinal extension. Bring hands to thighs to lift a little higher, maybe to 45 degrees right here. Feeling this good extension through spine. Engage the legs, squeeze, pull belly button in, squeeze. Take the arms out and up. Now you're perpendicular to the ground, looking forward. Reach high. Keep engaging the legs so you can maintain your balance. We're going to inhale. And then as you exhale, pivot right heel to the floor, turn sideways. Bring your arms down to parallel. Here's our warrior two. Let's arrive in the posture. Feel what's happening here. And we'll set up for triangle. So we're straightening the left leg. Shorten the stance if you'd like. Hands to hips. Right here. Even push down. Feel like you're sending the pelvis down towards the ground. And then feel the torso and your spine lengthen going upward.
Okay, now we've got that bowl of water here. We're going to tip that bowl so the water spills to the front of the mat. Even just to a comfortable place. You don't have to force this at all. And then extend your arms. Here's our triangle pose. Reaching up, reaching down. Feel this nice extension work that's happening through the left leg. Getting a little bit of a stretch through the hamstring. We'll do more hamstring stretching in a moment. All right, to come out of the pose, we'll bend the left knee a whole lot, maybe to about 90 degrees. Come back up to Warrior 2, and then we'll reverse the Warrior by taking left hand into the air with a good effort of reaching for the ceiling. This right hand very light. There's no weight. It's just, it can just hang there or just touch the right leg. Inhale. And as we exhale, we create our windmill with the hands turned towards the ground. Fold carefully to place your palms flat on the mat. Rise up onto tiptoes. Here we are behind you. And here's our runner's lunge. Push firmly into the ground to shift weight into the hands. Now the left foot can sweep back. Plank. Hold. Now let's bring the knees to the ground. And we'll sit back into hero, really just to bring in some props, okay? And if you can't sit in hero, that's okay. We're just actually just gonna get ready for the next pose. This is where you wanna use a blanket perhaps. All right, this is actually optional because you may not need the blanket for this particular posture. Later we will, but for this one you may not. We're moving into bridge pose, okay? And so you could use the blanket for support in the neck, and I'll show you in a second. And then of course, maybe your blocks. Even have your strap nearby, because we'll need that in a moment. All right, so you're gonna be sitting down and then lying down. And when you lie down, you wanna have your shoulders right at the edge of the folded blanket. Now I think I need one more fold in my blanket to really demonstrate this. This might be a little too much. We'll see. Okay, because the fold, of course, makes this nice little lift. And if you have kind of a sway, more of a sway in this part of your neck, okay, the deeper the sway, okay, if that makes sense, okay, the thicker the blanket, so that when you lie down, it's flat, if that makes sense here. So when I lie down, this might be just a tad too thick, but when I lie down, shoulders on the edge, my head is still long, my neck is still long, okay? Now mine is just a tad too high, but this is the idea, okay? So your neck feels spacious here. You don't feel like you're gonna collapse in your own throat, if that makes sense, okay? So go ahead and bend your knees, plant your feet into the ground, grab your blocks. We're moving into our bridge pose. When you exhale, press feet into the ground, lifting hips high enough to slide your blocks underneath you to sit on right here. And actually, this feels much better because I've lifted the hips. The blanket fold feels much better across my shoulders and neck. And again, I still have this wonderful spaciousness in the neck. So I feel quite comfortable here. Now, if you have more of a flat neck, then you may not need a blanket at all because the blanket would make your head tip backward and that might feel uncomfortable. So you just have to kind of play with this. Maybe you just need one layer of thickness depending on how much curvature is in the cervical spine. All right, we're gonna move into just a leg lift, but a very simple one. So let's make sure the left foot feels planted into the ground or just on the ground, and just gonna lift the right leg, just bend the knee. You don't even have to extend the leg, just pick up the foot like this, okay? That's all we're doing, nothing fancy at all. We just wanna maintain the nice bridge pose. We're just bringing the knee in just a little bit, just lifting the foot up off the ground. It's getting us ready for other postures later on in our practice. This is just a gentle introduction. 2 more breaths here. And then we'll bring that right foot back down, plant the foot into the ground, just make sure it feels solid on the ground, and then bring left knee in. And really this might be
a representation of starting to feel, like things are starting to spin out of control, if that makes sense. You're starting to feel a little bit upside down. However, there's still a sense of grounding. Your right foot's still on the ground, your back is on the ground, your head is on the ground, but there's a different perspective for sure, because you're actually looking up at the sky. 2 more breaths. All right, let's bring the foot back down. Press both feet into the mat so you can lift your hips and remove your blocks and come back down. Now, if you've got that blanket, you're welcome to keep the blanket there, but it might, for me, it feels like I'm doing a back bend because I feel like I'm draped over this folded blanket. So you're welcome to keep the blanket there or roll to the side, perhaps like I'm doing, and actually move the blanket out of the way temporarily, and then lie back down. Now we want the strap. You still want to keep this connection to the ground, and you'll feel this through your entire back body and the back of your head. Okay, let's draw right knee to chest, grab your strap, and we're going to wrap the strap around the bottom of the foot. Here's where we're going to extend. Just extend it up or out in front of you. It's okay if the knee stays quite bent here, but if you're able to extend the leg, that's fine as well. We're just getting the leg up. We're just introducing having the feet rising up towards the ceiling. And of course, just depending on how this feels for you, you might be getting a nice hamstring stretch as well. Just a couple of breaths here. I'm just holding onto the strap with both hands. I still feel well connected to the ground. Breathing deeply, feeling this good stretch. 2 more breaths. All right, we'll bend the knee. Let's release the strap. We'll set the foot back down onto the ground. Let's bring left knee in. Same thing. Let's wrap the strap around the bottom of the foot and create your extension on this side. It might feel very different on this side. Maybe you're more flexible in the left leg and you can fully extend it. Or maybe it can reach straight up to the ceiling. Or maybe it's less flexible and the knee is bent and maybe your foot is maybe pointing out at an angle. Okay, they're all correct. We have the foot in the air, that's the idea. And you might even feel a stretch quality in your hamstring. What we're really leading up to in our practice today is a pose called shoulder stand. Shoulder stand. Now we won't be doing the full posture, but a variation of the pose using props. All right, let's go ahead and bend the knee. Let's release the strap from the foot. Place it to the side there. Hug both knees into chest. And if it feels good, maybe some movement here, maybe a few circles, rocking forward and back, side to side. Something gentle here for a little low back massage. All right, to come out of this pose, we're just going to roll to one side. Use your hands and a breath to press yourself up to seated. Come back to hands and knees here for a moment, and maybe a series of cat and cow. Just to continue this nice undulation of spine. Don't forget the core connection as you draw belly button up towards spine. Because again, once we get into more of the full upside down posture, we do need core stability. We need that strength, especially when we're going upside down. 2 more breaths. Let's go through another flow, our lunge sequence. So pause in tabletop, step your hands forwards, again, spreading out your fingers, press into the ground. Strong straight arms, press more towards thumbs and index fingers, tuck your toes. Inhale, cow, so look up or forward, arch your back. Exhale, round into cat. Hold cat, lift knees, lift hips, downward facing dog. We're going to inhale, extend right leg up into the air. Let's hold for several breaths. Okay? This really could be a simulation of doing a handstand. Okay, of course, we still have one foot on the ground, but we have both hands on the ground and one foot way up into the air, heads pointing down. So it's kind of a nice simulation and preparation for something like a handstand. Okay, we're breathing in. Exhale, bend right knee, bring it in towards chest, shifting body weight forward. Maybe you are able to step foot up closer to the hand. Shifting the hips back, finding balance in the hips. Rise to fingertips. Then bring both hands to thigh. Press to lift to 45 degrees. Feel that good extension through the whole torso. Core engagement, leg engagement. Swing arms out to the side. Inhale. High lunge right here. Exhale, open warrior two. Let's do the same thing. Bring hands to hips. Straighten front leg. Triangle pose. First, pour the bucket of water out, tip, extend arms, reach. There, triangle pose. Inhale, we're gonna move right away. As we exhale, bend right knee, nice 90-degree angle, come up and through a warrior two, reaching right hand up into the air, left hand soft on your left leg. Once you're tall, another breath in to reach higher. Exhale, windmill. Both arms forward, fold, bring hands to the ground, rise up on tiptoes behind you, runner's lunge, press into the mat with hands, slide right foot back, plank. Bent knees, hips to sky. Downward facing dog. Let's simulate our handstand again by inhaling to extend left leg into the air. Right there, hold. Reach through your toes, energy through the whole leg and foot, as if you were going to be doing a handstand. As we exhale, bend left knee, bring it in towards chest, shift your body weight forward, set foot closer up to the hand if you're able. Once you're there, pull hips back, lightness in the hands so you can easily rise to fingertips, hands to thigh, press to extend spine at 45 degrees, lengthening through that back leg and torso, core engagement, leg engagement. Inhale, sweep arms out and up to a high lunge. Hold for a second here. Then we'll open to our warrior two. Pivot right heel to the floor, turn sideways, arms down to parallel. Hold for a second to arrive. Hands now to hips. Lengthen left leg, shorten the stance if you'd like. Long torso, pour the water out over the left foot. Extend your arms, triangle pose. Feel this nice extension. Inhale, reach more, we're still moving. Exhale, bend left knee, lunged to 90 degrees. Come back up and through warrior two, reversing the warrior by taking left hand up into the air, right hand soft on your right leg. Inhale, reach higher, and our exhale to windmill, all the way back down to the ground. Carefully moving. Plant the hands, rise up on tiptoes behind you. Then press hands firmly into the mat, strong arms, slide left foot back, plank, hold, and then bring knees to the ground. Sit back into hero if you're able. All right, we need to bring our props back in. Okay, now we're gonna use that same fold in the blanket to protect our neck as we move into various ways to practice shoulder stand, shoulder stand. Okay, same idea. And you can even bring in the blocks, have those handy right there if you need them for a little extra support. Okay, so we're gonna sit and then lie down, same thing, shoulders right at the edge of the blanket, head on the other side of the blanket, it's on the mat. So hopefully that curvature in the neck is just pretty much straight, it's neutral, okay? Now we're gonna go back to the bridge pose. You can bring in those blocks. Let's do that. Exhale, press feet into the ground, lifting hips, slide your blocks underneath you. So again, we're gonna play with some variations of shoulder stand, but we're gonna use the blocks as extra support. Now, another thing we may need to do with the upper body is actually get our shoulders a little bit more underneath us. So you might kind of shift or rock to one side, get that free shoulder and arm a little bit underneath you, and do the other side, okay? And then your hands can just come down by your side or even bend elbows like this at 90 degrees. Make sure your feet feel solid on the ground. We've got those blocks for support. Okay, now we're going to extend right leg up into the air, reach. At first, flex the foot, pushing through the heel of the foot. That'll just bring some good energy to this right leg, your hamstring in particular. You might even feel the backs of your arms, your triceps and elbows, even your shoulders press into the blanket that's underneath you. Okay, let's bend the right knee, plant the foot back down. Let's do the other side when you're ready. Bring the left foot up, extending the leg. Flex the foot, reaching upward, maybe towards the ceiling or even out in front of you, because it doesn't have to be fully straight, okay? Again, we want to bring good energy to the leg. Now we need the upper body stability. We've got the blocks that we're sitting on, but keep pressing down into the earth with your elbows, shoulders, and triceps. Okay, because we're going to bring the right foot up and extend the leg up into the air to meet the other. Energy in the legs by flexing the feet. And if you'd like, you can even point your toes. Okay, it changes the energy a little bit, especially in the feet. Okay, so this is one variation of shoulder stand. Okay, it's much more supported because we're sitting on the blanket. I'm sorry, sitting on the blocks. Okay, let's rest, bend the knees, bring the feet to the ground, plant feet into the ground, lift hips off the blocks, move your blocks, and then come down to the ground. Let's extend the entire body. Extend the legs forward, out front there. Reach your arms behind you, lengthening. All righty. We're going to move into another version of shoulder stand without the blocks, but you can always come back to version 1, okay? Instead of the blocks for support, you can use your hands for support. Okay, again, you can watch or try it or go back to version 1. So let's start again with knees bent, feet flat on the ground. Elbows already bent, pressing into the mat. Let's even get the shoulders a bit underneath again. Okay, now we're ready. Push both feet into the ground, lifting the hips, and then take your hands and then get your bum in your hands if you can. So we're basically just going to be sitting in your hands like this. Now you can just stay like this, okay? Or maybe go for those leg extensions. I'm rising up on tiptoes just to get ready, extending right leg up. You can even do this one leg at a time. Here's right leg. You can bring it right back down and then take left leg, extending. Or if you're able, taking both legs up. I'm not going to do that. Okay, I'm just going to do one leg at a time, but you're welcome to take both legs up. Because this really does take a lot more strength, especially in the arms, upper body, as well as the extension through the legs up into the air. Okay, let's come back down and release. Sitting down, extend the legs, extend your arms, reach. Very good. Go ahead and just bring your arms back down by your side. Relax for a moment, because we're going to do that same pose again. Okay? That shoulder stand variation. So now that you've introduced your body to the pose, kind of gotten over the initial shock of it, let's just try it again. And that's what can happen sometimes in real life. You know, we might find ourselves shockingly in some new situation where things feel so upside down, we don't know what to do. But in yoga, we learn what to do. We learn how to use the breath, finding ways to stabilize, stay strong and centered. No matter what might be going on around us or even inside of us. We have ways of grounding. Okay, let's go again. Bend the knees, plant the feet. Lifting hips up into the air. Feel free to use the blocks again if you'd like. Or bend elbows, press arms into the ground. I'm squeezing shoulder blades together underneath a little bit. That's going to help. Okay, then sit in your hands. Rise up onto tiptoes. Take one leg up, maybe the other leg up, or one at a time. I'm still going to do one at a time here. You can even switch. So I'm taking left leg up, holding for a second there, coming back down, right leg back up. Meanwhile, hopefully your neck feels loose and easy. You should still be able to breathe. My test here is that I can still talk while I'm doing this, even though I'm upside down, because the neck is fully supported. All right, let's come back down to the earth. Release, come all the way back down, extend. And as you're extending, feel this reconnection to the earth. Maybe a deep breath as a way of that sense of relief that you've made it back down to the ground. Okay, we're going to wrap up our practice, moving into our closing sequence. If you're still lying on your blanket and want to remove it, feel free. You can roll to one side. Maybe move your blanket out of the way. Maybe it's just a headrest now if you want to. Then go ahead and bring both knees into chest. Let's go back to those circles. If you want, before we get into our twists and hip openers, you can extend both legs up. Maybe you did that shoulder stand and you were only able to get one leg up at a time. Here's an opportunity to take both legs up at the same time. And maybe just hold on to the backs of the legs, or even grab your strap if you want to and drape it over the both feet. But we're not going to be here too long. And you may not sense it, but it's happening automatically, but your core is engaged, because your core has to be engaged in order for your legs to shoot up into the air like this. All right, bend the knees, give yourself another hug. Let's go for our twists. Let's take both knees over to the left side, carefully, slowly, while you extend your right arm off to the right side. Now, if the legs don't reach the ground, and of course they don't have to, maybe you can use your blocks again, okay, one or two, on that left leg perhaps. So it creates a little barrier between you and the floor, and it allows you not to over-rotate. Or even placing a block between the knees, because it's okay if the legs don't touch. They don't have to touch each other here. And just a few breaths. And as we're starting to wind down, it's also a nice opportunity to return to your personal intention, whatever it may have been. And maybe this practice helped you in some way to make that intention a reality. Let's bring the knees back up to center. You can give yourself another hug. And we'll do the other side. Take your time. If you're still on the left side, you can stay there until you're ready to do the next side. If you've been in a situation where you either feel physically or mentally or even emotionally unstable or upside down or confused, whatever label that you may have attached to that, and that can feel a little unsettling. But what resources can you rely on in order to come back to that center line, that place where you feel grounded and connected, that feeling of, oh, I'm laying comfortably on the floor, for example, or standing tall and proud and stable in mountain pose. 2 more breaths. Let's go ahead and return to center. Another hug. Maybe a few more circles here. Let's take our hip opener. We'll take several hip openers. Let's start with happy baby pose, where we take the legs wide, take the feet up, knees stay bent, but if you're able, grab hold of the bottoms of your feet. If you can't reach the soles of your feet, just hold onto your ankles or along your legs, and then just gently press downward. The knees are very bent. They're pointing outward, outside the body. You want to feel like
The knees are coming down towards the ground on either side of your body. And this should create a bit of a stretch and release in the inner thighs, opens the hips, and might even affect your low back in a good way. You can even add a little movement here. You've seen babies do this. They grab their feet and they giggle and they rock their bodies here. There's something very comforting, I think, about this position. All right, 2 more breaths. We'll take another hip opener. This time, bring the soles of your feet together. Hold on to your feet in the air, but feet are touching. Hold on to the feet, and then gently press the heels directly down toward your pelvis. And at the same time, feel like your legs or your knees are pushing forward. Okay, it's another hip opener. This is the more classical version of Supta Baddha Konasana, or our reclining bound angle pose. We'll do another version of this that's a little bit more relaxing. Very good. Couple more breaths here. You certainly can stay here if this feels good for you, or we'll take a second version of this pose. We'll keep the soles of the feet together, but we'll set the feet onto the ground, and you might feel a bit more relaxed here. Now, if it feels like the legs are heavy and they're really dropping heavily towards the ground, and it's creating a stretch that's a little bit too intense in the inner thighs, this is where you might want to use your blocks again. Rather than the legs hanging there heavily, bring your blocks or pillows underneath the knees so they have a place to stop, okay? And then it won't pull so hard on the inner thighs. Let's hold here for a moment because I think this is a wonderful grounding position. Very relaxing, tuning into the breath. Even just realize the sensation of your breathing. Were you able to maintain these slow, steady breaths throughout your practice? Maybe it raised up a little bit, but maybe not too much. Mainly because we took our time, we went slowly, we broke things down, modified poses. But we still get a great benefit. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And after that third breath, just stay here for a couple more seconds and just decide what your final relaxation pose will be. It might be just your traditional Shavasana, where you extend both legs out in front, arms down by your side, and there we are in corpse pose. But maybe you like to have a little bit more support for your body in this position. So you might bring that blanket in just for a little softness for your head. Maybe you need to bend your knees or even elevate your legs a little bit. I'm going to use my bolster for this and just kind of tuck it underneath my legs, underneath my bent knees, like this. And this feels, for me, this feels so much more comfortable than just lying flat on a hard surface, even though I'm on carpet and a thick mat. This just feels more natural and relaxing. So I don't have to worry about how my body feels necessarily, and I can just settle into stillness and the sensation of breath. So I invite you just to move into a moment of meditation. Stay exactly where you are. No need to move. Just a return to your breath. Sometimes when we lie in stillness and we're quiet, that's when our minds like to rev up a little bit. So just be aware. Just notice if you were thinking about something. Acknowledge that thought. Maybe take a full breath in, and with the exhale, blow that thought away. Return to the present moment. Return to your meditation. Staying in complete stillness, return to the awareness of your breath. When it is time to move, before moving the body, return to the awareness of your breath and experience the movement of your breath. So you might just take 5 slow, deep breaths. And these breaths can generate energy, thereby creating movement in the body. And it might start with subtle movements, maybe just a wiggling of your fingers, moving your hands, feeling sensation arise in your feet, your ankles, your legs. As you're approaching your 5th breath, more movement is starting to arise throughout your body. It's as if you're awakening from a nice, long, restful nap. You want to maintain this sense of relaxation, easing out of this sleep, easing out of your meditation. So move in slow motion. Maybe you're using some props that you can set to the side. And then slowly roll onto either side of your body. And just even pause in this nurturing pose for a moment or two. Just like we were in happy baby pose, which can feel very comforting and nurturing. This pose can also represent that. And then slowly rising to seated, moving in slow motion. Maybe your eyes are still closed. Making your way up to a comfortable seat. A seat that resembles where we began our practice. Nice and tall, lengthened spine, shoulders gently rolled back, arms resting down by your side with your hands in your lap or on your knees. Recall that sense of grounding, connection. And with this grounding, you feel strong and centered, stable and balanced. Even after going through all that took you upside down and turned you all different ways. We'll finish our practice with an inhale and extend your arms out and up into the air. Good reach. And as you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart space. Pause there as you take one more breath in and out. And as we complete our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste.